Kit, Anson, good to see you both. Thank you so much for your time and welcome to Popternative.
Great to see you, PT. Thanks for having us.
Um, Kit, I do want to kind of start with you because, there's all the preparation that you do for this, all the conversations, and then you get there, right? You get to the house, you see everything come to life. So that script to screen journey, what was that like for you finally getting there and seeing everything with all the preparation?
It was incredible. Like I remember getting on my first day of tour around the set, and from like the rooms to the basement was brilliant. Like it looked disgusting. And I think the set design there was it really helped. Like I think this is true, but Anson, like I'm assuming it helped like being in that grotty place to yeah. And like the house felt really normal and really homely, yet alone to have what awful things was happening just below it. I thought the set was incredible and it really helped to make it feel really homely and really like a family in the actual house, but then the mood slightly shifts in the basement and stuff.
I feel like you could imagine it like when you're reading it, what it's gonna look like, but it really like sinks in when you get there, right? To see that
Yeah.
kind of basement, which is interesting. And Anson, good to see you, man. And
Great
I
to see
did
you.
kind of want to ask you because just seeing kind of this in the film festivals and everything, the genre bending component of this is insane. Like there's so many
Mm.
things here. There's crime, there's drama, there's the horror component. How like aware are you of the fact that a movie like this is so genre bending even before going to like picture and like filming this? Like, are you aware that there's a lot of elements in this movie?
Well, I've thought about it a lot because I definitely after watching the film on my own and then watching the film, for example, at TIFF with an audience, my mind was blown about, as a viewer like everyone else, just how many different genres it does touch on. Of course, I remember when I first read it, finding it like guiltily funny in places, and it felt kind of so outrageous and yet realistic what this family were doing.
Mhm.
But I was just talking about earlier. You're kind of when you're making it, you become so invested in the story and you're so glued to the material. And in my case, in this film, I felt such a sense of responsibility of grounding this heightened concept to make it about a real young man really trapped in someone's basement that you don't think about the overall outcome. And it's also like, you do everything you can to prepare your character, you give your performance, but then at the end of the movie, you have to give it away and you submit it to editors and to your director, and they can do whatever they want with it. And so things can be totally different when you come and watch the finished product. But when I watched this, what really struck me was it was like a grim fairy tale.
Mhm.
And I when I read it, I never ever envisioned it as a fairy tale. And there was something really romantic about the film when I watched it. And it definitely had that dark humor in places, where moments where you definitely shouldn't be laughing. So of course it makes you laugh. Um, yeah, you're right. It does just touch on so many different things and speaks about so many different things. And that's what I loved about it ultimately when I read it. It just had so much color to it.
Absolutely. Just getting like the breakdown, like when like about the film, because like for TIFF, right? There's first look photos, but you don't see much, you don't know much, right? There's no trailer or anything. Just like
Yeah.
reading the log line, you're like, I'm in. Like I'm curious. You know what I
Well, I hope so. It's one of those films and it's hard because you don't want to give too much away,
mean? No.
obviously, to people
Oh,
beforehand.
going in
And I
fresh was the
know,
best thing that ever happened, in my opinion, for this one.
oh, good, good, yeah. I know that they were toying for a while, for example, about the trailers just being of the opening sequence, so that you don't even see the chain and you don't even see what happens. But obviously, you want to give people a little taste of what's to come. But
Yeah.
it really, what I do love about it, and this is credit to the script writers and Jan and the editors, is that it drip feeds you pieces of information,
Yep.
but you don't find out fully what's happened. The film doesn't make total sense until you get to that final 10 minutes and
Mhm.
you see Tommy with his family, or you see Tommy back with his girlfriend, and then you see the end of the movie. And I feel like then the knot is tied up really perfectly, and finally it makes sense.
Absolutely. And then before we wrap, I have another question for Kit and then one for you, Anson, super quick. But I guess, Kit, my filmmaker kind of, because I make films as well, I guess this is like my filmmaker in me asking you this question. But, you know, we're going to see some scenes of you and Steven and Andrea and Anson, and, you know, it's a runtime of maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, right? And then it goes to the next scene, right? But I know that there's a chance that that scene might have taken you the whole day or like 3-4 days to film. So when those big scenes happen, Kit, do they feel like their own mini movie, mini project, or they overall feel part of Heal?
Yeah, well, I remember the that sequence where the like Monica, like Rena's past life almost comes into the house, and then there's the conflict there. I remember that scene took us quite a while to film, but it was really interesting because it always slightly changed each different take, like something was different, and it was really helpful because you could always envision it in the greater like picture of the movie. Although it did take, I think, one of the longest scenes to film, I thought it was really helpful because it still managed to fit into the bigger picture of the film.
No, absolutely. So well said. It's interesting. And it moves so quick, but at the same time moves so slowly. It's like filmmaking is that world. You know what I mean? But like, Anson, last question before we wrap. I mean, you have an incredible body of work. And what I love about it is you've played different characters in these different worlds. It's all storytelling at the end of the day. And I'm curious how separate are past projects, past journeys for you are compared to something like Heal. Like, do you bring mindsets or preparation from Pistol, Mobland to something like this, or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
Well, each project, I guess, brings its own challenges, and you have to approach things differently. So, for example, with Mobland, it's such an ensemble piece. There's so many different characters, and everyone brings a really unique flavor. So when you come to set on the day, you kind of, I like to rely a lot on instinct and just play off what all the other people in the room are doing. And yet, and it's kind of like it's an ever evolving piece because it's multi episodes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With something like Heal, you get the script and it feels like it's in a tight little box with a little bow on top, and you just dive in for that 6 weeks and then you come back out again. And I always, as I said earlier, like I felt such a sense of responsibility for trying to sell this concept that someone would get locked in a basement and that the rest of the story would unfold. And I don't want to give spoilers away, but some really crazy stuff happens. And so I actually approached it quite mathematically, and I had to mark out places in the script where Tommy would shift, where something in his brain would change. And I ended up with 7 versions of Tommy in my little notebook that I brought to work every day. So, you know, you pick up pieces of information, you know, you get a new education on every job that you do. I think you're always learning. And then you just pick up the bits from the toolbox that you need for that individual job.
Very well said. And, you know, people got a chance to see it at TIFF, and people are going to be able to see Heal in theaters, which is so exciting. Both of you are so good in this. Congratulations. All the best for future projects. Kit, Anson, good to see you both. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Petey. Great to see you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.